Christopher Nolan, to me, has become affectionately known as the thinking man's director, because he is one of the only working directors left in Hollywood that consistently delivers a high level of storytelling that typically offers more layers than your average summer blockbuster. His movies should be treated as an event because you know that when you are going to see one, it will most likely be something special. And Oppenheimer is no exception to that. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Oppenheimer explores how one man's brilliance, hubris, and relentless drive changed the nature of war forever, led to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people, and unleashed mass hysteria, as well as an internal moral dilemma within the man himself. So Christopher Nolan is known for bringing these high-concept, intelligent blockbusters to life. But Oppenheimer, on the flip side of that, is more unique than any of the other films he's ever made. Because it is in fact a historical drama, it plays out much more like a documentary than it does a film. A well-constructed and well-acted documentary, but a documentary nonetheless.
That makes sense.
Nolan has also been known to take inspiration from films of the past, and use that inspiration as a base to tell whatever story he's trying to tell. He took inspiration from Michael Mann's Heat to make The Dark Knight. He took inspiration from James Bond films to make The Dark Knight Rises. He took inspiration from Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey to make Interstellar. And Oppenheimer is very clearly taking inspiration from Oliver Stone's masterful JFK film.
Because it's all part of the plan.
In a weird sort of way, it even feels like a prequel to that film told through Christopher Nolan's eyes. Both in the way that he uses a who's who of talented people and an epic ensemble cast as a way of bringing these real people to life, and also how he portrays the themes throughout the film of political paranoia and conspiracy.
I see everything.
Being a history buff, I knew aspects of this story, but I didn't know the full story as it is being told by Christopher Nolan. And I think it's definitely a story that needs to be told, and something that needs to be experienced by audiences. Cillian Murphy plays the titular Oppenheimer, and he is a frequent collaborator with Nolan. But to me, this is the first time that the weight of an entire movie has been placed firmly on his shoulders as an actor. And he deserves a lot of credit for pulling off that insurmountable task effortlessly, very much drawing parallels to the character that he's playing within the movie.
I like it a lot.
In a movie like this, if you don't have an actor in that role who's going to capture the audience's attention and keep it, then the whole film will fall apart. So kudos to Christopher Nolan for putting Murphy in that situation in the first place and having confidence in him. And kudos to Murphy for giving easily one of the most memorable performances of his career.
You love me. You really love me.
It really is still amazing to me when you see a talented actor go through such a wide range of emotions and reactions. Oppenheimer as a person was clearly a complicated figure, and that is very much relayed through Cillian Murphy's performance. I mean, one minute he's a cocky physicist, the next he's a womanizer, the moment after that he's a bleeding heart activist, and he's also a man that has taken on this huge responsibility, which has created a significant moral dilemma within him.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Maybe the biggest moral dilemma that any one person has ever had to endure. And the way that this journey plays out on film, you as a viewer know that he's heading down a dark path, but in a weird sort of way, you're still rooting for him to succeed. And a great movie made by a great director will oftentimes create a moral dilemma within the audience if they're doing their job right.
He's good. With my help, he could be the best.
And that's the thing about this film. As the bombs are being created, as the clock is ticking down, and we are moving to this inevitable conclusion, there's this palpable tension that's building, and the stakes feel very high, even though if you have any knowledge of history, we kind of know where it's going. And that again is a credit to Christopher Nolan and the way that he tells stories. It's not easy to keep an audience invested in a movie like this for 3 straight hours.
Long time. Long time.
But to me, it never really felt like it was 3 hours, because the movie is just constantly moving. It's a constant race against time, against ourselves, against our enemies, and it just made for a very satisfying experience. Now, this movie is very dialogue heavy, and I know that's going to turn off some people who have short attention spans. And that's fine, this movie just clearly isn't made for you. But for me, because of how much dialogue there was and how complex it was written, it was captivating. I found myself hanging on every word, even if I didn't really even know what they were actually talking about.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
That's not to say there wasn't a familiar Nolan visual flair to the movie either, because he does do things in this movie that are a bit more subtle, but also still very interesting visually. The way that he sprinkles in flashes of a nuclear reaction happening, all while these real-life events are taking place in Oppenheimer's life, both from a personal standpoint and a professional. It literally feels like a megaton weight is hanging over the film constantly.
Whoa, this is heavy. There's that word again, heavy.
The way that he creates the look of a nuclear blast on camera is very impressive. There's one moment in the film that was particularly memorable to me, and it comes after Oppenheimer has come to the realization that his creation has been put to use. And he's supposed to be delivering this very patriotic and uplifting speech to his co-workers. And he's saying the words, but you know he doesn't truly believe what he is saying. It doesn't feel like the success story to him that he's supposed to tell everyone that it is. Because he's already having reservations about the very dangerous contribution he has made to the new world. And this whole moment plays out in a very surreal and visually disorienting way. The sound from the crowd is kind of dropping in and out. He's very much zoning out while he's talking. He's even visualizing the very excited crowd getting eviscerated by a nuclear blast. It may be one of the most accurate depictions of having to put on a brave face while also having this huge weight on your chest that I've ever seen depicted in a film before. There's also this added metaphor of how the very creation of such a bomb could destroy the world instantly, and how its creation set off a chain reaction of events that will lead possibly to the world ending somewhere down the line.
We're gonna die!
Nothing is ever surface level when you're dealing with a Christopher Nolan movie. You always have to dig a little bit deeper because there's always more to uncover. I don't even think you can fully grasp everything there is to understand about this movie with just one viewing. I think it's one of those films that we will gain more clarity on the more we watch it. But to me, everything about this movie worked. The score was an added element that I wasn't expecting that added to the overall gravity of the situation. Also, everyone in the cast was phenomenal, and a special shout out goes to Robert Downey Jr., who really shines as an actor when he's not forced to constantly perform in front of a green screen. And that's another huge plus for this movie. There is no CGI to speak of. Nolan very much has an old school mentality to filmmaking, and to me it's very beneficial to the longevity of his films, and it helps to make them feel that much more important and real.
What is real? How do you define real?
This movie is filled with themes of conspiracy and guilt, along with paranoia, responsibility, and consequences. It very much shows you how a system can use you for your talents to get what it wants, and then completely disregard you when they don't need you anymore. Nolan perfectly portrays the historical impact that the actions of these people had on war, on government, and on the world in general.
It's gonna be consequences and repercussions.
I'm not prepared to throw around the masterpiece label like a lot of other people do, because I feel like we do need more time with the film to truly understand its brilliance. But this is the closest I've ever come to giving a new movie the masterpiece rating, because it is that special to me. Awards mean less and less every year, but I truly believe that Christopher Nolan deserves some kind of recognition for his work on this film. Some kind of long overdue recognition. He has further solidified himself as one of the last living GOATs of filmmaking. And this to me is a film that everyone should experience on the biggest screen possible. And that's why I'm going to give Oppenheimer the Bill and Ted.
Excellent!
Y'all be cool. Shut up.